doing well, and they've sent you something. You're completing your grief. They've sent you something. You have information from them, and you start to cry. Then yes, it is probably you feeling for them. It is 100% you feeling for them. Thank you for the likes, everybody. I really appreciate it. So I wanted to clarify that because I said it yesterday in Grief Study Hall, and I think that I didn't really say it right, or I didn't finish it and didn't clarify it. And so I think I may do a class on it next Tuesday so we can understand where grief comes from and what grief we feel for other people. I think it'll be a great class to talk about. Okay, acceptance versus acknowledgement. This is just a teaser this morning. I will be back tonight at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tonight at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Today's the teaser, acceptance versus acknowledgement. Number one. Number two, if you haven't done so, download, go into the link and download that grief shit. Because we're talking about the shit and what it is and everything that goes along with it. So download that grief shit. You definitely want to get that if you haven't done it. I'm giving it to you. So you might as well get it while you can. Acceptance versus acknowledgement. Stop forcing yourself to get an ending. Stop forcing yourself to get an ending. Stop forcing yourself to get the wrong ending. EK says, good morning, everybody. We're over here trying to get to an ending in the grief. I tell you guys all the time that grief doesn't have a timeline. It doesn't follow a timeline. Grief has enough lies floating around it. We don't need to start adding more to it. And one of the worst ideas that we need to do is get to acceptance. This acceptance that is floating out there, 100%, I believe, comes from the Kübler-Ross 5 stages. That we're trying to get to acceptance. That we're trying to understand. And that it equals end. This is why I think most of us are trying to get here. If I can accept the thing that has happened to me, then it will be over. This is not true. This is a lie. This is a lie. Miss Laura says love has no ending. There you go. I got to write that down. Love has no ending. Oh my gosh. Miss Laura. That is amazing. Love has no ending. If our grief is coming from love, how is it going to end? How do we get to this thing called acceptance? Okay. People will say it's like a destination, a final exam that you have to pass. If you get to acceptance, then you'll be okay. But here's the truth. Acceptance is not required. Acceptance is not required. And everyone, if they do their work, will make it out to the other side. Everyone, if they do their work, will make it out to the other side. For many grievers, even the word acceptance feels like a slap in the face. I'm going to say that again. For many grievers, even just hearing and talking about the word acceptance feels like a slap in the face. How do you accept that your child died? Someone, please explain it to me. Miss Becky, how do you accept that your child has died? That you've got to live, and I don't mean to offend you, my love, you've got to live the rest of your life without seeing their face. That's what brought me to correct what I said yesterday. I wanted to make sure you guys understood it. Our beautiful friend, Miss Keisha, has 2 anniversaries this week. She has her one and only child, daughter, birthday, and the anniversary of her death. Are both in the same week. And so she sent me a video this morning. Of what she did for her daughter's birthday. And she had a session with me last week. So I intimately know her grief. So I intimately know her. And I just started crying. And I'm going to ask her if I can share it with you guys in the group. But it was just so beautiful. So tell me. So you want me to tell her, you guys, the world, hold on, Suzanne, I want to read that out loud. The world You got the world and society wants me to tell Miss Keisha, girl, I know your one and only child died. I know you're not going to have them for the rest of your life. But when you get to acceptance, you'll be okay. I'm not doing that. Y'all go ahead and do it. You guys, you want to do that? You want to get to acceptance? You want to be there? You, by all means, go do it. I am not doing that. It's not right and it's not fair. And it is absolutely ludicrous. And here, Miss Suzanne said, I agree. She agrees. I will never accept that Kale died, but I acknowledge it. And her blessed friend Kale, her partner in crime and the love of her life, she's not going to accept it. She'll acknowledge it. I was out on the walk this morning and I was thinking about it. There's no way. I'm just not going to accept that Sharon was taken from me. I'm not. For many grievers, even the word acceptance feels like a slap in the face. How do I accept that my child has died? Becky says, I know that it happened, but I don't accept. And that's like saying it's okay. It's like saying it's okay. It's like saying what happened to you is okay. Because here's the truth. What has happened to you is not fair. And it is not okay. How do you accept that your sister, your husband, or your nephew is gone forever? How do you accept that? It's not fair. And it doesn't make sense. And it sure as hell doesn't feel like something that you're supposed to nod your head to. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to pretend like I'm having a conversation with God or the universe, whoever you guys. Oh, you took Austin? Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Oh, I'm never going to see him again. Oh, he's never coming back. Okay. So I have to figure out this grief thing. I got you. Okay. So you just want me to sit here and accept that? Because that ain't happening. I'm just not doing it. Okay. Let's see here. Couldn't see out of those, even though they're the right glasses. It doesn't make sense. And it sure as hell doesn't feel like something you're supposed to nod your head to. Fine, I'll take it. Is that what we're saying? Yeah, okay, I'll take it. The problem is acceptance got tangled up from the model of Kübler-Ross when people thought she defined grief. In the first place, Kübler-Ross's 5 stages didn't come from her. She had 13 stages. They were for her interns. One of her interns took them and added to grief. Where this whole acceptance things come from is back in the 1960s. Guys, when I tell you the world has evolved, the world has evolved. You are now seeing me standing in my office in a house in Frisco, Texas. That's where you're seeing me. And you are seeing me in your house where you live. The world has evolved. The world has evolved since 1960. Let me tell you what else has evolved. Grief. Emotions, the way we experience it has evolved. And because it has evolved and because it has changed, acceptance is no longer part of where we are in our grief. Back in the 1960s, psychiatrist Elisabeth Kübler-Ross published a book that was called On Death and Dying. And what I think is so huge is the subtitle: for doctors, nurses, clergy, and family. She doesn't say for the dying on the book cover. For doctors, nurses, clergy, and the family. She doesn't say, this book is for the people who are dying. In the book, she's studying out people who are facing their own terminal illness, not people who are grieving from loss. As a matter of fact, in the book, she doesn't really attach grief. She talks about it from the family's perspective, but not from the dying person's perspective. For these conversations, she outlaid 13 stages that she noticed that grievers went through. Part of those stages were denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. I want to also say this. If you are around someone who is actively dying and you look for it, you're going to see this. You're going to see these stages. I saw them. I saw them in my dad. I saw them in Sharon. Denial. I'll share with Sharon's story. Denial looked like the doctor came to her Just so happened I walked up to the hospital that day. I'm in the hospital. You know how you're always there for your girl? You're there for your girl no matter what. It doesn't matter. No matter what. I get to the hospital. I have a chin hair right here. Well, Sharon had multiple chin hairs right here. And she had, I'm sharing her business. Shh, don't tell anybody. And she had hair on her chest. And she would pluck them. I get to the hospital. I don't know. She's probably been in the hospital 7 days. She was in one hospital and then we moved her to this hospital. So she's probably total has been in the hospitals over 7 days, like 9 days. Her hairs are starting to show. They're starting to come out of her chin. I walk in, and this is how you know you're a best friend. This is exactly how you know you're a best friend. I walk in and she's like, girl, I got to do something with these hairs. I said, well, do you want me to get a razor? She's like, no, I need tweezers. I need tweezers. I get up. I leave. I go to CVS. I want to tell you guys this. And I found these tweezers. I think they were like $9.99. And they look so good. I bought myself a pair. So I bought 2 pairs of tweezers, came back to the hospital. This is a true story. I'm not making this up. Came back to the hospital because she was my girl. You got your girl. You got to get your girl. Oh my gosh, it's in my Facebook group. Anyway, I bring the tweezers back. She's so excited. She has the mirror. She's taking care of her business. I have those tweezers in my drawer now, my makeup drawer. Every single time I touch them and pick them up, I think of her. Every single time I touch those tweezers, it takes me right back to that day. Was no question asked. She was my girl. I had her. Okay. I just sit down with the tweezers. We're sitting there talking. The doctor comes in. The doctor comes in and tells her that she has glioblastoma, which is a brain tumor, and it has metastasized from her brain down into her spine, and it is encasing her whole entire spine. And that's why her back was hurting, because the cancer had encased her whole entire spine. He also says to her, you have only 2 months to live. You have only 2 months to live. So she doesn't get in denial right then and there. She accepts it. I saw her. She accepted it right then and there. Sometime later, a couple weeks later, she tells her children about it. And her daughter, which rightfully so, this is exactly what her daughter should have done. I also accept it because what the doctor said. The daughter says, nope, I'm not accepting this. And she starts trying to get a second opinion. A couple days later, she's like, we're getting a second opinion. We're going to move you to a different hospital. We're going to do some work. Exactly what it should be. When I was there, I saw Sharon understand what it was, because we had gone through quite a bit of time with this diagnosis, quite a bit of time with the illness. Once the daughter starts talking about, we got to get a second opinion, which I 100% believe she should have done, Sharon then starts changing her mind. I go into the hospital and she's like, I think I should get a second opinion. I think I should do stuff. That's how it showed up for her. That's how it showed up for her. She started to deny that it was even anything. Now, she had been through cancer for the last 6 years, so different cancer treatments. She started to push back against that. I never saw anger in her, but I saw bargaining. So this is not happening to me. I'm not doing this. I got to get out of here. You got to get me out of here. All of that. Then bargaining. I'm going to get another doctor. I'm going to do this, kind of tied in together. A lot of depression, a lot of crying. I want to tell you guys this. I knew that the 5 stages already were not of grief. And so I was looking for them. I also looked for them and saw them in my dad. So it's not uncommon if you look for them and you know that they're for the dying person. I promise you, you will see them. You will see them. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you. You're the love of my life, girl, right now. She gave me 21 finger hearts. I don't know why I said huts. I saw them in my mom and my dad and my brother. Yes. If you look for them, you will absolutely see them. That's Melanie. Okay. Important detail about these stages. They were descriptive. They were not prescriptive. Let me say that again. The stages were descriptive. They were not prescriptive. She wasn't saying everyone's going to go through them. or that you have to move through them in order to go through them. She wasn't even saying they applied to bereavement in the way that the world ended up seeing bereavement today. But society loves a checklist. Miss Laura said, love has no ending. Acceptance feels like an end. Society, we love a good old checklist, right? Oh my gosh. We love grief to be neat and clean. Grief checklist. We love that. We love this checklist where we can check off everything that we need to do. And in the end, you get to acceptance. Listen to that. If you go through the checklist, right? If we go through the checklist, anger, I'm not even going to put them in order, denial, acceptance. If you go through the checklist and you go through anger, which I might add, not everybody has anger. I had moments of I was mad or upset, but I never felt this anger that I'm talking about with grief. Okay, I've gone through anger. Now I'm going to be in denial. I'm going to walk around in denial for a while. Now I'm going to go through denial. And then when I get to acceptance, then what? Then what? Somebody tell me. I just go back to living my happy life because I've accepted? I accepted that you have taken my child? All right. She wasn't saying that everyone goes to them. She wasn't saying that they were prescriptive. She wasn't writing you a prescription from Dr. Elisabeth Kübler-Ross. First of all, someone else took them, and then it got attached back to her, and she rode the wave, which right for her to do. Society loves a neat chart, and before long, they love the 5 stages because the stages became the gospel. Now, generations of grievers walk around thinking that they have failed in their grief because they've never been able to make it through all 5 of the stages. Hold on, you guys, I want to put the rest of the stages. So, bargaining. And depression. Okay. Generations of grievers are walking around thinking they failed if they can't reach all 5 stages and get to acceptance. So, okay, this came up. It can come for a couple of reasons because people come in the live and they're like, when do I get to acceptance? How do I get to acceptance? The reason you don't know how to get there is because it's not a thing. It is not a thing. Stop asking me about it. It's not a thing. It's not a place you get to. And before you ever get to some form of going back to living in your life and moving around, you get to acknowledgement. Acknowledgement. Acceptance in the 5 stages sounds like a happy ending. That you will start in denial, you'll go through anger, you'll go through bargaining, you may feel depressed, and then, ta-da, play the viola, you get to accept, and your grief is complete. People around you love this idea. They love the idea. They want you to get to acceptance. They want you to get to acceptance so they feel comfortable. They want you done with this grief. They want it nice, neat, and tidy and clean. But let's be real. Some losses are not acceptable. Some losses are not acceptable. As I stand here today, I will never accept that Austin drowned at the lake, 10 years old on Father's Day weekend. Sorry, I'm not doing it. You want to get to acceptance? By all means, go right ahead. I will never be able to accept that my sister, my baby sister, has lost her child. Not fair. I don't see how any mother will ever say that I accept this. Your child has died. How does someone say their partner has died and they accept it? My brother or sister has died, my sibling. That's not what accepting is. That feels like an injustice. It absolutely feels like an injustice. This is about acknowledging what has happened to you so you can start to live in a reality that exists. I'm going to read that again. This grief is about acknowledging that the worst thing ever has happened to you so you can start living in a reality that exists. Here's the reality that exists. They ain't coming back. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. One, they're not coming back. We have to have acknowledgement about that. Number two, we also have to acknowledge that the worst thing possible has just happened to us. What has happened to you is not fair. Miss Keisha sent me a beautiful video this morning. She took a walk. She took a walk and she shared that walk with me. And I can't even begin to understand what her heart must feel like. But she is finally starting to, I believe, acknowledge what has happened to her and that she has to live in the reality that her only child has gone. It's not a fantasy. I also feel like acceptance is just like I feel like closure. They go together. They're both dumb and they should be in the same bucket. Sorry. I'm laughing at myself. Acceptance and closure should go together. Why does acknowledgement matter? Why does it matter? Acknowledgement is the thing that actually moves the grief. Once you get to acknowledge that this terrible thing has happened to you, because think about it, prior to you acknowledging that this has happened to you, you're in a disbelief. Some of you, your brain is even looking for your person to walk through the door. Some of you think they're coming back. Don't lie, because I know it's true. Sometimes I sit with some of you and just the way you're talking, I'll say, do you know they're gone, right? You know they're not coming back. And it will like knock them out of the days. That's number one. Number two, I'll say, you know they're gone and they're not coming back. And they'll say, yeah, but I can tell they don't believe it. Somewhere deep down in the back of our brain, we do believe they're coming back. That's why year two can be so much harder, because you live in you're living in the thought that they're coming back. Here's your brain. Here's that thought in the back of your mind. She is coming back. Acknowledgement is the thing that actually moves the grief. It stands in the middle of the wreckage and it says, this happened to me, my person is gone, and my life has changed forever. And all of that is intellectual. This happened. She is gone. My life is forever changed. Forever changed. I have to grieve that shit. That's the shit, guys. That's the shit that we need to grieve. That's the shit that the world won't allow us to sit in. This is the shit we have to grieve. Here's the other thing. Commercial real quick. Sharon Brubaker, owner of the Grief School. If you haven't done so, go to the link in my bio and download that grief shit. You click on my picture again, click the link that says click here for hope. And there you can download that grief shit. Okay. These are intellectual thoughts. These are the acknowledgement. Once you start having these acknowledgements, and even though they are sending emotions, once you acknowledge any of these or all of these, you're ready, friends. You're ready to start your work. This happened. My person is gone. My life has changed forever. That is not approval. That's not an agreement. You didn't get to sign on the dotted lines. That's not saying you're okay with it. You can be forever not okay with it. and still do your grief work. That's you telling your truth. This right here is your truth. The truth. Your truth. You can acknowledge something without accepting it. You can acknowledge that there was a car accident. You can acknowledge that there was cancer. You can acknowledge that there was a drowning. You can acknowledge that there was a sudden collapse. You can acknowledge the unfairness of this person not in your life. You can acknowledge the unfairness of it without ever once deciding to accept. I acknowledge that Austin drowned at the lake on Father's Day weekend. I will never accept that he drowned at the lake on Father's Day weekend. And I'm going to be an acknowledgement. I acknowledge it. And there's no pain there for me. There's no pain for me connected to the acknowledgement. But in the beginning of grief, there should be pain for you because you haven't done your grief work. Acknowledgement is what we begin to untangle. Acknowledgement is the fight inside your own body. When you name it, you stop wasting energy and resisting the reality. You're still in pain, but you're no longer lying about it. You're telling your truth. You're not lying about it. You're not lying about it to yourself. You're not lying about it to your friends. You're not lying about what happened. Sometimes the reason that we don't want to get to acknowledgement is because we still want people to say their name. Also, acknowledgement, that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. Acknowledgement is not, oh yeah, I acknowledge it, but I'm going to go on with this. That's not what it is. Acceptance is not required, my loves. Acceptance is not required. What is required of you is to learn the definition of grief. What is grief? Grief is a normal and natural reaction to a loss of any kind. That's number one. But what also is under there? Number two is learn how to process the grief. What are you doing with this grief when it shows up? Number one, you need to understand what it is. What has just happened to you? What has hit you? Number two, you need to learn how to process it. Right? Once you've done these two, you will probably get to acknowledgement. And without doing these two, without working with me, some of you may already be at acknowledgement. And let me tell you, did she define acceptance? Are you talking about Kübler-Ross? Lost my train of thought. Sorry, guys. I just saw Becky. Yes. I don't know. I'll tell you. Let me hold you on a second. 1 second. Oh, did I not read the definition? I didn't read the final stage. That's what she says. It's the final stage by acknowledging the reality of the loss, right? Not by liking it, by accepting it. But she says it's the final stage. She said acceptance is the reflect and the common emotional response to change, loss, and shock. I will have the actual, I'm going to go to her book. I have her book here. I will pull out her book and I'll bring out tonight exactly what she says it is, because I'm getting that off the internet and that's not right. One of the biggest myths grievers swallow is that they're supposed to get to acceptance to heal. And that's bullshit. I'm telling you that's bullshit. Healing doesn't require acceptance. There's not a place for you to arrive, and you will not be through what acceptance is. When you will not be through your grief when you get to acceptance. Healing doesn't require acceptance. Healing requires you tell your truth. It requires you be honest. It requires expression, connection, and a willingness to feel what's there. Acknowledge what happened to my mom at the hospital. and letting it go is the biggest healing experience I've done. Yes. Yes, Miss Debbie. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be on your grief healing journey. What if we stop telling people that they need to be to acceptance, or we need to be to acceptance, and start teaching them about acknowledgement? What if the finish line wasn't some mystical stage, but instead the ability to live fully in your truth? What if the finish line wasn't some mystical stage, but instead it's an ability to live fully in the truth of what happened to you while you're still finding ways to breathe? You're still finding ways to love. You're still finding ways to laugh, and you're still finding ways to remember them. That's real grief, my friends. That is real grief. That is what grief is. That is what we go through when we're grieving. That is who we are. That's why this distinction matters. Let's break it down by not confusing acceptance with acknowledgement. Okay. Hold on. I want to read the definitions as I found them for you earlier. Acknowledgement is before your grief work, Miss Becky. You may already be at acknowledgement because you're at 10 months. You're at 10 and a half months. So you may already be at acknowledgement. And this is not a stage. That's why it doesn't matter when it comes in. Hey, Fly Girl, it doesn't matter when it comes in because this is not a stage. We're not going through stages. I just want you to feel for your heart. I want you to feel in your heart. Put your hand over your heart. Everybody, put your hand over your heart. Do you acknowledge that your person has been taken from you? Do you acknowledge that the worst thing possible has happened to you? Do you acknowledge that your life is forever changed? That's what I'm asking you. I acknowledge that Dixie died a couple of weeks ago. Perfect. I love it. Laura says, I acknowledge Frank died and I will love and keep his memory alive until my last breath. Yes. Joanne says, yes, I acknowledge. Do you acknowledge? Because what happens is, and acknowledgement can come at any point, because think about this. I want you guys to go back, and this is where I'm getting to. I want you to go back to the beginning. Hey, love, I'm so sorry. This is me talking to Erica. I just got off the phone with the police, and Donovan was killed in a motorcycle accident. No, 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 no. And then she takes off running and she goes down the hall. There's no acknowledgement there. There's no acceptance there. And how long do you stay in this? I sing grievers for days going, no, 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 no. Pushing back, resisting, resisting, resisting. We do one of four things. We resist, we avoid, we react, and we pretend. When we drop resisting, when we truly know that we are resisting, we're resisting the emotions of what has happened to us. When we truly kind of let that kind of goes down because we've processed it enough, what kind of comes up, Miss Becky, is going to be the acknowledgement. Yeah. I'm going to use your son's name. Ashton died. Yeah. Austin died. We start to acknowledge what has happened to us. Okay. Acceptance gets tangled up with approval. As if saying you accepted it means you somehow are okay with it. This is the definition. You're co-signed on the injustice of it. That's not what most grievers want. That's not even necessary. You do not have to accept this because what has happened to you is not fair. You don't have to accept it and you don't have to like it. Okay, acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is raw. It's unfiltered. It's honest. This happened. My person died. My life was torn apart. This happened. My person died. My life was torn apart. It doesn't sugarcoat anything. It is reframing it. It is just naming with your honest, raw truth what happened. Period. That's all it is. That is all it is. You will never be at acceptance. I'm not teaching acceptance. I don't think you're ever going to be at acceptance. If you can just get to acknowledgement, I think you've done okay. Good morning, Miss Sharon, says Crystal. It is so true. I swear he's on a long trip and he's going to walk through the door. Yeah, there's a lot of times that we absolutely live in that our person is coming back. When we let that go down and we acknowledge that they're gone. Corey says that was me and it still kind of is. Okay, let's break down why we're confusing acceptance with acknowledgement. Okay, there's pressure. There's pressure for the grievers who feel broken because they can't accept. You're getting pressure from people out there, and you're also putting pressure on yourself. And then you start thinking you're failing at this grief thing. Once you start thinking you're failing at this grief thing, then you start isolating because you don't want your colleagues to know that you're still grieving. People around them use acceptance to silence the pain. Haven't you accepted this shit yet? You haven't accepted this? Translate into this. Could you please stop talking about it? You haven't accepted it. I don't want to hear it anymore. They're not going to come out and say that, but they're going to change the subject. And you pull back more. So you have pressure. You isolate. And then you get into this thing called shame. When you can't get acceptance, when you can't get there, when you can't figure out how to get there, you feel like you're doing the grief. You feel like you're doing the grief wrong. And what does mean doing the grief right anyway? So you start putting the shame on yourself. Acknowledgement lifts the weight of the shame. You don't have to accept what happened. You only need to acknowledge it and to begin to live in the reality of who you are now. You only need to acknowledge it to begin I want to write it just like it's on there. Okay. When you get to acknowledgement, you begin to live in the reality of who you are now. The reality is the truth. You begin to live in your truth. I acknowledge that Austin died. I acknowledge that Austin drowned at the lake on Father's Day weekend. I am now living in my reality and my truth. And this is my life now. That's not accepting it. That's just saying, this shit happened to me. This shit happened to me, and I'm now ready to acknowledge it. You only need to acknowledge it. So now once you get here and you're acknowledging it, then you're more ready to go after the work of it. Because once you acknowledge the shit has happened to you, you're more ready to step in to the work. It helps you to shift it. When you catch yourself thinking, I'll never accept this, I want you to remind yourself, I don't have to. I'll never, I'm not going to accept this. I'm not going to accept this. If I called Erica on the phone right now, which I can't do because I'm on the phone. If I called her on the phone right now and I said, do you accept that Donovan and Austin were taken from you? She would say, no. What am I willing to acknowledge today? What in the grief, what in your reality are you willing to acknowledge today? You can acknowledge that It's just jacked up. That could be your acknowledgement. This is really jacked up. That could be your acknowledgement. What are you willing to acknowledge in your grief today? What truth am I letting myself name without sugarcoating it? What truth in my reality am I willing to say? She is no longer here. Where can I stop fighting the reality? Because the whole time that you're resisting, you're fighting your reality. Saying you acknowledge it just helps you to step into the reality. Instead of giving your body and heart permission to feel, what are you doing? You're fighting. Where can I stop fighting reality instead of giving my body and heart permission to feel? That's how you move forward, friends. Okay, it's not fair to blame Kübler-Ross for what society did with her stages, for what one of her students did with her stages. Even she said that they were not linear, they were not universal, and they were not meant to box people in. Later in life, she acknowledged that she wished she never let it happen. She admitted that people misunderstood her work, and that by then the damage was done, and it was way too far. Acceptance was never meant to be the holy grail of grief. It was a time to rewrite your grief story. Acceptance is not the end of your grief. Acknowledgement is the beginning. Acknowledgement is the beginning. Completion is the end. Completion of the pain, the loneliness, and the isolation. You don't need to accept that your person died. You don't need to accept that this is unfair. You don't need to accept a world that has ripped them apart. What you need to acknowledge is the reality that they are gone, you are hurting, and your life is forever changed. I have to read that again because I need you guys to hear it. What you need is to acknowledge the reality that they are gone, that you are hurting, and your life is forever changed. Acknowledgement is the doorway. Acknowledgement is the doorway to healing, to getting in the healing. Acknowledgement is the doorway to getting to the healing. Healing is the path. Acceptance? I don't know. Take it if you want. It's optional. It's not for me, but I'm not going to stop you from saying I accept it. I dare you to find one mother that says I accept. I dare you to find one mother that says I accept. Truly. Okay, my friends. That was supposed to be 30 minutes, ended up being an hour. I really got into that. I actually really enjoyed it. It's actually 42 minutes. Okay, here's the deal. If you're new here, my name is Sharon Brubaker, and I am the owner of the Grief School. The Grief School is the place where healing begins. If you click on the link in my bio, if you click my picture, then click my picture again, and you click on the link that says click here for hope, and you click on the link that says Grief Forever Change Weekend. The doors have closed to that. It closed on Sunday. The doors have closed to that. But if you open that up, there's an amazing video that I put in there, and you can set an appointment to meet with me and find out what other classes I have going. So I just want to throw that out there. If you haven't done so, download that grief shit. Click on the link, and click the book that says That Grief Shit. It is the shit about grief. It's all about the shit of grief. And it's a community outreach. It's free. It's for you. The other thing is, I'm going to be back tonight at 8:00. I'm going to go deeper into this. I'm going to take you from why you are resisting acknowledgement. So resistance and acknowledgement. That's what we're going to do tonight. Tonight is the courage to grieve. Tonight at 8 p.m., the title is The Courage to Grieve That Shit. The courage to grieve that shit. And that's what we're going to be doing tonight at 8 p.m. So I got to go. I got some classes coming. Yesterday was Grief Study Hall at 1 p.m. It was absolutely amazing. You guys can get into that. That's also in the link in the bio. If you're on Facebook, if you're in the Facebook group, click the link at the bottom of the post that says Beacons AI, the Grief School. And there you'll find everything that I'm talking about. What is the thing that you're willing to acknowledge today? Here's what I want you guys to do when we get off this live. Take a deep breath. When we get off the live, I want everybody to go. then I simply want you to ask yourself the question, what can I acknowledge today? Ask yourself the question. And the first answer that comes to you, that's your answer. What can I acknowledge about my grief today? What can I acknowledge about my grief today? I love you all. Thank you so much. If you guys think that Karis, my 3-year-old granddaughter, should have been allowed to wear her Elsa braid to school, please let me know so I can let her mom know. Because her mom said that I'm crazy. Yeah, you weren't this kind of mother. But hey, it's a braid. What can it hurt? Now, I would have never let Brittany wear it, but partly because Brittany has ethnic hair and this doesn't match. Anyway, that's why I was late this morning, because we were arguing about whether a 3-year-old should be allowed to wear her braid to school or not. I agree with her mom. All right. Wear it to school. Grandmas are different. Yeah, that's what I said. I said, it's not my job to make the rules. My job is to be fun. She's like, what kind of mother are you? What kind of mother are you? Hey, I'm not the mother. My job is to be fun. She should come to me for all the fun. And wearing this is definitely part of the fun. Hey, they can go out dressed however they want. They're 3 years old. I don't care. I don't care. I'm just here to have fun. I love you all. Have a blessed day. Tonight, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'll see you back here. We're going to continue this class. I love you.